Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio, so today I am showing you an incredibly exciting new Rampardos card, which is going to be coming out in Ultra Prism. But, of course it is. It was one of the fossil Pokemon from Diamond and Pearl, from Generation 4, from Sinnoh, and if there's one thing we know about Ultra Prism, it is going full Diamond and Pearl. So of course we're getting the fossil Pokemon. Now, a huge, giant caveat at the beginning of this video. We don't yet quite know how fossil Pokemon are going to work when Ultra Prism comes around. Until recently, we've had things like Plume Fossil, which we use for Archon, and you play it, and if you find an Archon at the bottom of your deck, or in the bottom 7 cards, you get to play it onto the bench. We don't think that's what's happening. Autobot Tesla, who revealed this card and gave us a translation, also showed us we're getting Mysterious Fossil. Now, I'm going to do a video about Mysterious Fossil, although there's going to be a lot of speculation because we don't know, but it looks like Mysterious Fossil basically acts as a basic, from which you evolve a Rampardos, and it means that you can use something like a rare candy to skip that stage of evolution if you so feel like. So it looks like we're just basically getting general mechanics for fossils that work like normal, although if it is a trainer, it means you're not going to be able to search it out with Bridget unless we get some kind of ruling to the contrary. So I'm going to be talking about Rampardos, assuming it's vaguely easy to get into play using the fossil mechanic. Obviously, if the fossil mechanic makes it very easy to get in play, the score will go up. And if it makes it very difficult to get into play, the score will go down. So with that borne in mind, it is a fighting Pokemon that is great at the moment because you're hitting weakness against stuff like Zoroark and Silvally. That is brilliant. It has a weakness to grass, which is actually pretty good at the moment. We do have Golisopod, that is a very good Pokemon. Outside of that, grass is not seeing a huge amount of play at the moment, so as far as weaknesses go, it's not the end of the world. 150 HP is fairly standard for your Stage 2 GXs. We did have a bit of a run in Sun and Moon where we had Pokemon like Dragonite that would be up at 160 HP, and even Mamoswine, which went all the way up to 180, but in Ultra Prism it seems like 150 is back to normal for your Stage 2 Pokemon. And a retreat cost of 2 is a bit rubbish because, well, as I've said on many an occasion, it's the worst retreat cost in the game. And we should mention that actually this is pretty sweet in terms of being a fighting Pokemon, because you get strong energy. So you can make sure that all of your attacks do an extra 20 damage, and then just go smash using strong energy, which is really good. I am a big fan of this. Although Brooklet Hill, as I mentioned, it doesn't look like we're just getting the usual rules. Your fossil Pokemon generally don't follow the usual rules of the game, so it's unlikely that Brooklet Hill is going to be particularly useful. But it's the attacks we're really excited about, ladies and gentlemen. It's the attacks that make Rampardos look like a legitimately playable Pokemon. For 1 fighting energy, 60 damage. It's not particularly great. If the opponent's active is an evolved Pokemon, you do 60 more damage. And like so many of the really good attacks in the Pokemon trading card game, it's the numbers that make this good. So let's say you're against a Silvally or a Zoroark, probably at the moment the 2 most relevant fighting weak Pokemon, given that they were the 2 Pokemon that were in the final at the European International Championships. Well, 120 times by 2 is 240. For a single fighting energy, Rampardos does enough damage to just go ahead and get a 1-hit KO. Single energy, KO on Zoroark. Single energy, KO on Silvally. That's really, really good. I mean, single energy, KO, you don't see this very often. Even the really good Pokemon, you need something like a Choice Band if you want to go and get a KO, or you need to get a couple of energy, or something like that. That's not the case here. Single energy, KO. And Zoroark is likely to see a lot of play going forward. It's not just that it's a really good attacker, although it is, it's the fact that it's got that trade ability, discard a card from your hand and draw 2, which just means it runs so beautifully. and Silvali's getting all of the memory cards. Now, we only actually have confirmation of 2 of the memory cards that we've got revealed, and 2 more that are coming out in the future. But I find it incredibly likely that we will get the other memory cards, which means that Silvally can become a colourless Pokemon, a Stage 1, that can hit for any weakness in the game. If that happens, as I've predicted on this channel that it will, then Silvally is going to see a lot more play in the future, and it's already seeing quite a bit of play. Rampardos takes them both down. But even if it's not as evolved Pokemon, you add a choice band on here, you're doing 90. If that fighting energy is a strong energy, you're doing 110. Now, if you're talking a basic fighting weak Pokemon, let's say something like Darkrai GX or Drampa, that's still getting a one-hit KO. As a side note, strong energy alone won't. That will only do 160, but a choice band with a regular fighting energy will do 180 and get the KO here. But even if you're not hitting for weakness, you're still doing 110 against any GX for a single energy, assuming that energy is a strong energy and you have a choice band attached. This is nothing to be sniffed at, ladies and gentlemen. This is an incredibly good attack. Now, don't get me wrong. It's best when you're actually able to go against a fighting weak evolved Pokemon. At that stage, it becomes frankly dumb. But even against something that isn't weak, even against an unevolved Pokemon, this is still pretty good. But actually, if you're against basic Pokemon, well, Rampardos has an answer for that as well. In the second attack, free fighting energy. If the defending Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, they are knocked out. Yep. Machamp is back, ladies and gentlemen. Although big up to whoever designed this card, Machamp was for 1 energy and was dumb and broken. And this was in a format where Rare Candy could evolve on the very first turn of the game. You didn't have to leave a Pokemon down a turn to Rare Candy it, which made it just plain broken. And I mean that in a very literal sense of the word. Rare Candy was actually broken. It didn't do what it was supposed to do. Anyway, so we come along here with a free energy takeout. And I like this a lot, because it's still an amazing attack. It's still an attack which is going to do wonders for you. But it doesn't break the game in the way that Machamp did, where if you're playing a basic deck, you just have to really hope you don't hit a Machamp, or you have to spend an inordinate amount of space in your deck teching against a Machamp, like the old SP decks had to do. Free energy is expensive. But let's say you're against something like a Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh, for a lot of decks, is a bit of a pain. 190 HP, that's a pain. Resistance to fighting, that's a pain. Being able to hit 180 damage, that's a pain. Rampardos comes along and just gets an instant one-hit KO for free energy. Of course, then you do have the issue that you've got to get free energy on there. You could always use something like a Max Elixir, but of course, if you're using Max Elixir, you've got to be doing it onto a basic Pokemon, which is not particularly fun when you're playing a Stage 2 Pokemon, because you want to be getting your evolving going. So, it's not great, but we've got ways. I mean, one important Pokemon at the moment is Buzzwole GX. Buzzwole GX is seeing a lot of play, saw a fair bunch of play at the International Championships. It's got a good single energy attack. But I commentated some games over the weekend where people were playing Buzzwole, and they got free energy on their Buzzwole. So what I see Rampardos working, if you want to use a second attack, here's what I'm thinking. You have to sit there behind something like Buzzwole, doing the early damage, and then you bring in Rampardos when you've got free energy on it. If you're against an evolved deck, you're fine, because, well, the first attack is really quite good. 120 damage for a single energy. I mean, I gave you the calculations earlier for if you were against a non-weak basic. But if you're against a non-weak evolved, well, you're doing 120 standard. Then with a strong energy, you're doing 140. Then with a choice band, you're doing 170. If you're against a non-weak evolved GX, you're doing 170. If you're against a non-weak evolved non-GX, you're doing 140 with a choice band for 1 energy. If you're against a non-weak basic, you're doing 110 against a GX or 80 against a non-GX. All for 1 energy. And if they're fighting weak, you're just KOing them. Just assume you're KOing them, you're fine. This is a really good attack. The second attack is very expensive, and you're not going to be able to use it all the time, and that's a shame. But when you can, it's great. And this first attack alone, a single basic energy KOing one of the best Pokemon in the game, even for a Stage 2 Pokemon, that's really good. I have reservations about the fossil mechanic. It looks like we're just using Mysterious Fossil as a basic, and then you can rare candy, etc. as normal. But you still won't be able to use Bridget, and you still won't be able to use Brooklet Hill. Taking this card completely on its merits, I am giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. It's a good card. The attacks are good. It hits a great weakness. And the energy cost for the first attack is really good. Although the energy cost for the second attack is expensive, you know what? It's worth it. If the fossil mechanic is too much of a pain, this score goes down. If it's really easy, this score goes up. But like I've said, best guess at the moment, Mysterious Fossil acts like a basic. You can rare candy, but you can't Brooklet Hill. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, I need to hear from you lovely ladies and gentlemen. Go nuts! Be nice. Let me know in the comment section. It'll be fun. Let's talk about Rampardos. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. I've not done any live streams in the past week to protect my voice, but they're going to be starting up again in earnest on Tuesday, so make sure you come and join in. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, etc., you can do so by going to patreon.com/PTCGRadio. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.